Today, we're going to talk about why you would want to do an SEO campaign as a local company. So, one reason is to get traffic or to get more traffic. And what I mean by that is we want to get more traffic to the site to convert them to leads. Another thing is if you are currently running ads, what a SEO campaign can help with that is when someone goes and searches for your brand, if your name is really similar to another brand or Google doesn't know enough about your brand. So someone sees your ad on rather Facebook or wherever you're advertising and they go into Google and they search your brand name. What SEO does is it helps get your business to appear in search, not only when they search brand names, but also when they search for keywords. So then the next question would be, what are keywords? I want to go back up here real quick. So why you would want to do an SEO campaign is you want to rank for keywords. So first we need to talk about what does SEO stand for? So SEO stands for search engine optimization. Okay, so what does that mean, Chris? So what does search engine optimization mean? So first, what is a search engine? So let's start with Google, the biggest player. So Google is the URL, right? Or the company. So when you go to google.com, right? And you land on that page, and then let's say they've got their little icon, right? And it says Google right here. That's a G. When you land on that page and there's this little bar right here that you type in, when you put anything in there, let's say you put your keyword, or to make it even easier to understand, we put like pizza near me, right? Let's say you're hungry one night and you want to see, okay, are there any pizza places near me? So then you go on your phone, or you open like Google Chrome, or you open Safari. Safari is also a search engine. You've also got Firefox. Safari and Firefox are more like browsers, but they also can be used to search for services or products online. Then you've also got Bing, right? Bing is another big search engine, right? So when you're hungry at night and you go into one of these platforms, one of these websites, and you search for pizza near me, they have a back end process where, so let's say back end process where all of these search engines will go to websites and they will crawl. What crawling means is that these search engines will send somebody like a robot. They will send a robot to your website. On the website, they will crawl it, they will read it. Now, do not read like us. They're not human. So, what I mean when I say that crawlers do not read like us, they're not human, when a crawler comes to your site and visits it, right? So in youtube.com, you type in Instagram, you type in facebook.com, right? If they were to go to the same page, if they were to type in that little bar at the top of your web browser, facebook.com, just as a super simple example, when they land, they're going to see all of the code. And all code is a machine readable language. It also can convert. So it will convert from HTML to what we see when we land on Facebook, right? When we land on Facebook, we've got the little icon. We've got our icon over here. Then you've got the ads on the right side. Then you've got all of these things, the different things you can do. You've got all of your stories. And then in the center, you've got all the posts, right? So we humans, right? We'll see this. We'll see all of the styling. We'll see all the visual representations of what's occurring on the page. Or another way to think of it is we will optically see what's occurring. For crawlers or robots, when they come by, they will only see the code. So what this means is that if I'm a pizza business, I have to create a website or information, right? I'm going to place my pizza company's information onto this website. I'm going to talk about us. I'm going to talk about the type of pizza we make. I'm going to talk about the ingredients, how long I've been making pizza, my address, where we're located. There are also, I'm going to want to get a Google business profile. So I want to touch on something real quick is that all of these search engines, so we've got Google, right? We talked about Google and we've talked about Bing. There's also, you've got Yandex, you've got DuckDuckGo. You have a whole bunch of these search engines. In a second, it'll make more sense of what I mean by search engine. Also, I want to note that going forward, anything that I say is going to be more in reference to Google than any of the other ones. If I want to talk about the other ones, I will go back and I'll save them. But for right now, we're going to just go forward with Google. They all have crawlers. They all will send these robots to the websites, to these listings to get information about the business, right? So let's go back over here. So we have our website. Our website has information about our pizza company. It's got our address, it's got our location, it's got all the stuff about us, right? Then, so this website we own. So with the website, you can own the domain name. And what that means is that, as an example, if my company's name was Chris's Pizza, my name's Chris. So Chris's Pizza Company.com, right? So I can go and register, I can go and buy, I can go and purchase, I can go and set this name to me. I can be the owner of that, right? And then once a year, there's a fee to maintain that. But regardless of that, so we own the domain name. When someone types in company.com, they're going to be sent to my website if everything's configured correctly, right? There's a lot of server stuff in the back end, but we're not going to touch that right now. So then they're going to be taken to my pizza website. The same thing happens for these search engines, for Google, for the crawlers. If Google discovers our domain name, chris'spizzacompany.com, then what it's going to do is it's going to send these crawlers to the page. On the page, it's going to find all of the information about our company, right? Then there's also a Google business profile. So a Google business profile is a Google asset. And what that means is that this is just a free billboard that Google gives us. So I like to think of it as a Google board, right? So a way to think about this is that the Google business profile is for when people search normally in Google. Then it's also for Google Maps. So you may use Google Maps to get directions, or if you've never used Google Maps, maybe you have Apple Maps. It's very similar, right? So very similar to Apple Maps and other navigation systems, right? When you're using them, there's going to be like a listing or a profile, a company listed on there, right? So for Google, it's Google Business Profile. Then you've got Apple Maps, which would be like Apple listings. And then you've also got Bing, which has a they're pretty much all very similar in nature. They just have different mechanics of how you get one listed and then two, how you go about optimizing it. But again, we're just going to stick with Google. So in Google Maps, there will be the Google Business Profile listing. Now in Google Search, there will be website listings. So what does that mean? So let's go back to the example of pizza near me. When you search this, there are a real quick caveat. There are certain terms that are local. Or what I mean by that is there are certain things you will type into search engines in which you will have just websites appear, just URLs, just links for you to click. And then there are instances, and when I'm only talking about Google right now, in which the Google Business Profile will appear or website URLs will appear here below. So for pizza, because pizza is a very local intent, not only that, I also have near me in my search term or in my keyword. What's going to happen is that there's going to be these Google Business Profiles that appear. So let's say we've got the first position, the second position, the third position. And then normally over here, you'll see a little map. You'll see like roads, right? And then you'll start seeing like little dots. And then they might have some like names next to them of where the business is, what the business name is. You'll see business information here. You'll see a phone number, right? You'll see get directions. You'll see website. You'll see a lot more information. So these are all Google Business Profile listings, right? This is what I consider a Google billboard because it's free to set up a Google Business Profile, right? That's why I think of it as a free billboard. So instead of when you're driving down the road and you see a billboard in that interruption-based advertisement, this is a different intent-based marketing or advertisement because we are targeting when somebody searches for a very specific term. So another way to think about this is instead of pizza is if you're a roofing company, someone types into Google roof leak repair near me. Or if you are a vehicle wrapping company, let's say you also do boats. So someone in Google types in boat wrapping, right? Or let's say you're a painting company and someone's looking for commercial painters, right? These are all different search terms. These are all different keywords. These are all different things that people put into Google to find services or products that they're looking for. I'm just using pizza because it's a really simple example as an example. So the Google Business Profile is a Google asset, right? You have to go through Google's process to get it verified, right? You have to show some LLC documents. You've got to show you've got to show some other things. And this is all to show Google that you're a real business. Google doesn't want to hurt or to mislead searchers because Google has a reputation to manage, right? So if Google allowed a whole bunch of spammers, a whole bunch of scammers, nefarious things on their platform, then people would naturally associate that experience with Google, right? Even though it's not necessarily Google's fault. Either way, Google will associate that, or people will associate that with Google. So what Google has to do is go through a very deep verification process, right? And it can be quite tedious and it can be a quite tedious process, but it's well worth it. So that's the Google Business Profile. Now, why get one is because Google is the main search engine. So what does that mean? So there are millions, if not billions, of searches happening daily. So what does that mean? So even if you may not personally use Google or you use a different search engine, what's happening on Google is everyone, let's say for example, everyone around you is using Google and they're searching for a service that your company offers, right? So, as an example, let's say you're a painting company, right? So, people are searching your service. Let's say to make it even simpler, they are literally just typing in painting company into Google. So they have something that needs to be painted, rather it is walkers, it is the side of their house, it is a commercial building, what have you, right? They need something painted and they don't want to do it themselves. So they search in Google, a search engine for painting company. You get these Google Business Profile links that appear in search. You get the map that appears. You get the first, second, third. There's a little show more right here, right? And then you get all of these links. These are links, right? I'll just put a box around these to make it a little bit easier. 1, 2, 3. Now, normally there are 9, but I'm going to make this really simple and easy to draw for myself. So someone local to you is searching for your services that your company offers. But because rather your Google Business Profile isn't optimized or your website's not optimized. And what that means is that it's not search engine friendly or it's not set up to rank in search engines. So we'll talk about ranking in search engines next. So first, for your services, right, that your company offers. So they have a problem. They're looking for a solution actively, right? Because they're taking it upon themselves. They didn't see an ad, an interruption based ad like on Facebook, on any of these other social platforms, right? This isn't a referral and this isn't someone that saw your social media posts. This is someone that's local that is typing into Google or any search engine painting company. So if you're in this example, we're talking about Google. If your Google business profile isn't optimized or set up to rank for the services or the products that you offer, what happens, and this is just specifically for the Google business profile, remember, the Google business profile is a Google asset. You do not own this asset. Google owns this asset. You own your website. You own your domain. You own the website files and you pay for hosting probably, etc. Okay. So for the Google business profile, if you have not optimized that, what happens? So let's go down here. What happens? So what happens when I don't optimize my Google business profile? When someone goes into search engines, Google, and searches for your service, right? And we were just using the example that you are a painting company. So someone goes into Google and is searching for your service. What's going to happen is that you're not going to appear in these first 3 positions. More often than not, or on average, what's going to happen is your Google business profile, because it's not optimized, is going to appear further and further down here, right? So we've got the first position, the second position, the third position, the fourth position, the fifth, the sixth, and the seventh, right? Let's just say for this example, you're in the 7th position. So what this means for your Google business profile, for your company, for what happens is the first position, there's a study done to look at how much, so a cut of the pie or a percentage, how much of the traffic, how many people click the first position Google business profile when they search a service or a product in that search bar. Now, this is specifically for Google. And the first position gets 36% of the clicks. So before we even look at the second position, that means we are now fighting for 64% of all the traffic, right? We haven't even looked at how much traffic does the second position get. The second position gets on average 24% of all traffic. Okay, so now we are fighting over 40% of the remaining traffic. So what does that mean? So 10 people search for painting company near me or a service that they are looking to solve, or a pain point or a problem that they have, right? Or a product that they're looking to buy. That means from 10 people searching, 6 of them have already clicked that first and that second position. So now from 3 all the way down, we're fighting for the last remaining 4 people. So as we rank lower on your Google Business Profile when people are searching, because it may not be properly SEO optimized or search engine optimized, you're fighting over less and less traffic, or less and less of a percentage of the traffic. So the goal with SEO is to get your profile in that at least top 3. So that means anytime someone is local around you searching for your services, what we want to happen is that your Google Business Profile will appear in that top position. This is where a majority of the traffic goes to. So that's the Google Business Profile. Now we're going to talk about the website. So it's very similar to the Google Business Profile. Let's see. So what happens when I don't optimize my site for the search engines? When someone that is looking for your services, or they have a pain point, or they're looking to purchase a product, right? When they go into Google and they search for, in this example, we'll talk about vehicle wrapping company, right? Someone's looking to have one of their work trucks wrapped. They're looking to have, maybe they want to do their boat wrapped, right? Or maybe they're just looking for pizza near me. If the website is not optimized, it's very similar to the Google Business Profile. What's going to happen is that you're going to start ranking lower and lower. Now, for websites, when these are just the results, there's going to be 9 blue links. And then sometimes you'll have the AI overview at the top. But right here, right? So these are all websites. These are all links to people that best match from what the search engine thinks from looking at the websites for this search term. So what happens when you don't properly optimize your site is that when someone local to you, when you offer a local service, right? You serve pizza, you wrap vehicles, you're a roofer, you're an HVAC company, you paint houses, you do commercial painting, right? A local service. So what happens when you don't optimize your website? You're going to start appearing lower in this position. And it's very similar to the Google Business Profile, to where the lower you are, if you're in this 9th position, you're going to get fewer traffic. You're not going to get as many clicks. So that person that is looking for that very specific service that they typed in Google is not going to find your site and find your business to know that you can solve that problem of theirs. Not only, we can actually rank below 9th as well. There are, and sometimes it goes up to 100 pages in Google specifically, to where you could be in the 50th position. And more, as time has elapsed, people aren't clicking on the 2nd or 3rd page of Google anymore. You're fighting to get on that first page of Google. It's very similar to the Google Business Profile. You want to be in that first position to get all of the traffic or an overwhelming majority of the traffic. Our goal with getting this traffic, with people clicking on our Google business profile, with people clicking on our website, is to convert them. So what does that mean? So when they land on our website, whatever your sales process is, you want them to call you and then you talk through. You're like, okay, you're trying to do XYZ. Okay, we do ZYX, go back and forth, etc. Or you prefer them to fill out a form. They fill out a form, you get an email, you email them back, you go back and forth, right? Either way, whatever your sales process is, what we want to do is whenever someone is searching in Google for the service or the product that you offer, we then, once they click on the Google business profile or they click on the website, we want to convert them to the next step in your sales process. We want them to call you. We want them to fill out the form, etc. Our main goal is to drive revenue from this traffic. So then, actually, we're also going to talk about ranking in search engines. And then we're also going to talk about keyword research, right? So let's go back down here. So our main goal when anybody is local searching for your services or your products is we want to convert them to generate revenue. Now, let's talk about keyword research. So actually, let's talk about keyword research. Okay. So now we have an understanding of, let's actually go back and look at all this. Why do a local campaign is to convert them to traffic. It does ads as well. We talked about brand name. We talked about keywords. Yeah, so let's go a little bit more. So we talked about crawling. Let's do ranking in search engine, and then let's do on page as well. And then talk about crawlers again. Okay. So now we're going to talk about keyword research for a SEO campaign. So what does this mean? What is a keyword? What is keyword research? So a keyword for in search engine optimization is a phrase, a word, or another way to think about it is something that someone searches, right? So what does that mean? So a way to think about this is that when someone has a specific pain or is looking for a specific service that you solve. So when I say pain, like they go and look at the side of their house and they see that there's a whole bunch of mold or mildew that's built up and they feel the pain of, oh, that needs to be cleaned. Okay, I need to go into Google and I need to search for a pressure washing company, right? Now, something that we need to be aware of is that not everyone knows of the service or the product that we offer that solves their pain, that solves the solution that they're looking for, right? They may not know to search for a pressure washing company. So what keyword research does is that we can take data from Google. We can take data from third-party platforms, third-party data providers, basically people that track this keyword research. And we can see, okay, when somebody is looking for a very specific service or a very specific product, what are they typing into Google? How are they searching, right? What goes in this little box? Because what can often happen is at us as the practitioners, I say SEO and I know exactly what that means, right? Someone says something else, maybe about your area of expertise, right? They call a certain finish something wrong or like a commonly used name, but that's not actually what it is, right? So what happens is us as the practitioners, we actually know what it's called. We would know how to search. We would know what to put into Google to find the thing we're looking for. Another way to think about this is that if you've ever bought a very specific part number, right? To go and search for that very specific part number. You would not go and search for what the thing looks like. So what we have to think about is, what are people searching for? Okay. So if you know the part number and that part number is for a PVC corner, someone that is unfamiliar with PVC or PVC corners doesn't know to search for that part number. And I know this is an extreme example, but I'm just trying to illustrate a point. So they search into Google for PVC corner. Now, if I had a website and I was only looking to sell to practitioners, or I was only looking to sell for people in the trades, people that actually know what the product is called, how to install the product, right? I would optimize my page for the part number. So when they search for the part number, my page appears. Now, if I was trying to sell for the general public, this is when I would want to target that PVC corner. So I do my keyword research, right? And I can see that people search for the part number. So I target my page for that part number. Or I am Home Depot and I want to sell to the general public. So then I can also target my page for PVC corner. This is just one example. So back to this. So what we can also do is that there are times when us as the practitioner or us as the owner of the company, we may not only know what they're searching for, right? But then we also need to know what are some other additional modifiers that they go and place in Google or these search engines or these search platforms like Bing, right? What are they placing in there? So another example to think about this is that if I only targeted vehicle wrapping, right? But people search for vinyl vehicle wrapping, my page, my Google business profile could not appear for this at all. So someone searches and I offer the service, I offer the product. It's just I haven't properly optimized my Google business profile, or I haven't properly optimized my website, what have you, right? It just hasn't been optimized. Someone can search for vinyl vehicle wrapping and I could not appear, or I could appear so low in the rankings that they'll never find me, right? I'm in the 7th position for my Google business profile and my website's on the 2nd page. So I'm barely getting any of the traffic. So there are other additional modifiers to search terms, right? These are search terms. These are phrases. These are keywords. Vehicle wrapping or pizza company near me, these are all keywords. These are all phrases. These are all search terms, right? Going back to phrase or going back to a word. This is also why we want to do keyword research. Because then we can find, okay, what are people actually searching for? Okay, they're searching for that. Then I know, okay, so I need to go build a page if I was wanting the website, or I need to go add stuff to my Google business profile so that I can start appearing for this search term, for this very specific keyword, this service or this product that I offer. But I first have to know what keyword to target. I have to understand, how do people search? If I don't understand how people search, if I don't know what people are typing into Google, I can't target that keyword. I can't go apply on-page SEO, and we'll get into on-page in a second. That'll be next, right? So we first have to understand what search engine optimization is. Then we have to understand that there's these different search engines. There's these search platforms, right? We got Google, we got Bing, like DuckDuckGo. We've got Yahoo as well, right? And we've gone over a little bit that they go and crawl web pages, or they go crawl these profile listings. Like in Google, we've got Google Business Profile, and Bing's got their own version. Apple Maps has their own version, right? These listings, when people go on these platforms and search for the products or the services that we offer, we need to optimize, we need to apply search engine optimization. We basically need to make it so that when the crawlers or when the search engine providers like Google, Bing, and Yahoo come by and they look at our site to get an understanding of what it is about, they can, right? Then we need to start targeting specific keywords, or we need to basically list on our website, list on our Google business profile that we offer these products or these services. So when people go and search for these, we start appearing for those search terms. So then we can get that traffic, we take that traffic, and then we convert it to revenue. We get them in our sales motion, whatever your sales motions is, right? You call them, you text them, you have them fill out a form, and then you go through that process. Okay. So ranking in search engines, and then we're going to talk about crawlers again. So for ranking in the search engines, what this means is that we want our company's website, our company's Google business profile listing, not Yelp, Bing, Yahoo, right? Whenever we appear in search, what that means is someone types in pizza near me, right? We want to rank in that first position, right? Because we've already gone over. This is where majority of the traffic goes to. The higher up we can get in these placements when people search, the more traffic we will get. And then the more opportunities we will have to convert people, right? But getting traffic does not guarantee we will be able to convert them. But what this does do is gives us more opportunities to convert them. So for ranking in search engines, there are dozens of ways to do this. There's probably over thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of different ways of achieving this. So what I'll do is we will look at, okay, what do I currently know is true? So across a whole bunch of different search terms. So what we can do is we can go and search different keywords, phrases, right? So we can do DUI lawyer. We can go and do roofer. And then we'll do one more. We'll do HVAC company, right? So I can go and search these in Google. DUI lawyer, I can go search for a roofer, and I can go search for an HVAC company. From these search results, and when I say search results, what I mean is when you go and search in Google and you see all of the websites that are being displayed or the Google business profiles that are being displayed, those are search results. When you type in a keyword and hit enter into Google, that is called the search results page. So what I can do, and this is what I do for my clients and in my company, is that we go and we look at the overall trend of what ranks. When something is in that first, in that second, in that third position, why are they there? Why are the other sites ranked below? So now I'm saying this very simply, but there are over 100 different reasons or different ranking factors. And a majority of this is because of combinations of ranking factors. I'm not going to talk too much about that because we get really deep into the math side. If you've ever heard of combinatorics, or if you've ever heard of like exponential, like the power of 10 law, right? This is basically what happens is that because you have certain ranking factors that go in combination, this is when the ranking factors that correlate with rankings goes up to 100,000, and we get just two very extreme numbers because there's so many different combinations. But regardless of that, so what we'll do is we'll look at DUI lawyer, roofer, and HVAC company, right? So we'll go search these, and what we can do is from an overall trend, we can go into different cities as well. So for each of these search terms, I can go into 5 other different cities. So I could be searching this 15 times. Then those 15 times I look at, okay, why are these ranking? What are they doing to rank? Not only that, so we can reverse engineer why they rank and to get an understanding of, okay, why does this search engine think that this is important? Why does it think that this page deserves to be in the first position? What are they doing to rank for the keyword DUI lawyer Los Angeles, right? We go and we look at the overall trend. We get an understanding of, oh, okay, what does Google think's important? What does Google think's required to rank, right? Because Google owns Google search. Google owns the search engine. So it dictates, it sets what's required to rank. We go and reverse engineer that by looking at, okay, what is currently ranking, right? So we go and look at all these. We see, okay, they've got this word count, right? I'm going to talk about like 3 or 4 different ranking factors, but there's over 100,000. So they've got this many amount of H tags. They've got this many amount of paragraph. They got listicles. They got bolded tags. They use the keyword this amount of times. They use the entities this amount of time. They use the LSI words this amount of time, right? Then there is figuring out the ranking factors that way by reverse engineering what is currently ranking. Then there is creating test sites. So what does that mean? So I will intentionally create a website and my only purpose is to test with it. Okay, so I have a bias. I think that the keyword or the word count needs to be X, right? So I will go and try to rank for a keyword, or I'll make up a keyword. I will do blue hammer short. That's the keyword I'm targeting. I'm trying to see, okay, this bias, this thing that I think will help me rank, does it actually help me rank? So I can go and create that web page that all it does is talk about blue hammer short, and I will try to rank it. And then over time, I will see, okay, that actually didn't rank. So maybe I'm wrong, or maybe I didn't do enough, or et cetera, right? There's a whole post-in process to figure out, okay, maybe I need to do X, maybe I need to do Y. Maybe there's something else that interfered, and that's why it did rank in first position. So then now I have to go figure out, okay, now I have to test it without that, right? So that's a whole bunch of the scientific method of A/B testing. I'm not going to get too much more into that detail, but that's a little bit of our process of how we figure out how to rank in search. Now, I want to finish on crawlers because I feel like I kind of left it a little empty. So crawlers are bots that visit your site. So Google will send a bot, like a little robot, whatever, right? And it will go and visit your site. It will crawl the page. When I say crawl the page, what that basically means is that it's going to gather the data, or it's going to read the page. So what does that mean? It's going to go and look at everything, right? And it's going to try to get an understanding of what this page is about. Now, Google and these crawlers do not read like we do. These crawlers, these robots, when they come and visit your site, they have zero context. So what does that mean? So no matter why you created a page, they will never know why. They'll never have any context. They'll never know why. They will only see the data, take the data, and try to figure out what the data is saying to them. So what does that mean? So if you were to talk about something, you are naturally going to use the words about the thing you're talking. Okay. So maybe every so often, you are also going to use words that are similar or words that commonly occur with the thing that you're talking about, right? What Google will do is that it will have a list of these words. These dots are for each word that are on your page. Then they will assign a number or a numerical value to each of these, and then they will measure the distance in which they occur with other words, or they will measure or they will measure the frequency in which those words occur to get an understanding of the page. So if a page uses the keyword 100 times, right, then it may have a better understanding that this page is in relation to this keyword. Or another thing to think about is if I were to talk about something that had cinnamon, it also had apples, it had crust, it had butter, you had to bake it and then it's a dessert. Whoops. So without me actually saying what this is, there's something that comes to your mind, right? It's an apple pie. So these common words that occur with apple pie is what Google would expect to be on the page. So it can get an understanding of what this page is about, right? So that's more of what it means when a crawler comes by. It doesn't have the context and it doesn't know how to read like we do to understand what the page is actually about. What it does is that it looks at the occurrences or the amount of words each time that they're on the page, right? So it might go through and count the word the and see how many times that's used. And then it'll go through maybe all of the other words. And then it'll also measure the distance between the words that commonly occur in association with certain things or certain topics like apple pie to get an understanding of what the page is about. And so that is why you would want to do a local SEO campaign, is because we want to optimize more for the search engines so that they present our website or our listing on the search engines platforms, like on Google, the Google Business Profile. We want to optimize them or set them up to position or rank higher in search whenever people are searching for our products or our services in those search engines so that we can get traffic. So then we can try to convert them or get them into our sales process to generate more revenue. If you would like help ranking your website or your Google Business Profile in Google, click the link down below in the description to book a call or DM me local on Instagram or Twitter and let's get you booked on a call.